Smyle Co podcast. My name is Kevin Hayashi. I'm your host. We are a platform to encourage and inspire creators to live their dreams and do what makes them smile. We lead by example by raising our frequency and manifesting our reality. Today, my special guest is Ryan Greenspan. Ryan, what's up, bro?
How you doing?
Very well. Glad to have you. So Ryan Greenspan is the world's most decorated and influential professional paintball player. Over the course of 2.5 decades, Ryan and his team, San Diego Dynasty, have won more professional events than any team in the history of the sport. Ryan sits on top of the leaderboard with the most wins of any professional player in history of the sport, a founding member of Team Dynasty. Ryan has traveled to nearly every continent, teaching and spreading the good word of the sport paintball. Ryan is a true ambassador of the sport. Accolades aren't all that Ryan is known for. Over the course of his career, Ryan has also been on the forefront of promoting the sport in any way he can, appearing in paintball video games, traveling on concert tours, running a successful YouTube show, and being on both the board of the United States Paintball Federation and playing on the professional and veterans men's U.S. national team. Hopefully I got all that out smoothly, man. There's a lot to talk about with you, bro.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've done this for a while. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, it's a pleasure to have you, man. And it's impressive of everything you've done for the sport. Kaya, come on, buddy. Down. This guy might get a little down, buddy. I know it's Ryan, but relax, dude. So yeah, man, it's good to have you. I'm excited to share your story and what you've done and what you're doing. And what we want to do with Smyle is really let people know that they can live their dreams and do what makes them smile. Interviewing successful people like you, some greats, showing that we're all people. We all come from somewhere, and there's a good story to be told. So if you don't mind, man, share how you got to be great.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me. I love the branding. Obviously, I smile quite a bit. I live behind my smile. Sometimes it gets you in trouble, but I love the branding. I like everything you guys are doing here. I remember when you guys, I'm obviously friends, known a lot of you guys, everybody who's involved here in Smyle for quite a while. And I just, thought the branding and everything was great. And, Whitney was like, dude, this is you, you got to check this out. So I got some of your guys' merch and hoodies and stuff. I rock that. It's great. And it's actually interesting, like that concept is so important. You know what I mean? Like the whole, just you're preaching the idea of like living your life, doing what you want, follow your dreams and stuff. But like smiling is like a really important thing. It actually gets you out of a lot of mental blocks. If you're in a bad situation, you just kind of throw on a quick little smile, and it kind of tricks your brain into thinking, oh, we're okay. Right. Yeah, man. But like I said, thanks for having me. I've been playing professional paintball for the better part of 25 years now. I originally moved down to San Diego from Northern California when I was 18 to go to school. We just started our tournament, our professional tournament career back then. And I was going to school for international business, and it just turns out we started the team. And back then you could just anybody could go pro as long as you could pay the entrance fee. Now you have to qualify. There's like a lot more hoops that you got to get through, and it's substantially more difficult to like get your pro card in a way. But we entered a tournament. We ended up winning our first World Cup that we entered, like after the end of one season, and like no one had ever done that before. So our trajectory was pretty on point right off the break, I guess you'd say. It's a little paintball lingo there too. And, we were just incredibly successful. We started traveling to Europe. I was 18 in college, and we were winning 13 out of 15 tournaments in a year, traveling over to Europe, down to South America, Australia, like all over the world before we were even 21. And we had like one of the most successful brands in the industry back then. Still do, actually. And it's crazy because we've had a ton of fans from when we were 18 and they were like our age or even a little bit older. And then some of them like kind of fell off a little bit and took a break, and then they're coming back and they're like, dude, you guys are still playing. And not only that, we're like still winning. Right. I'm 41 now. And like to think of that, we're still not only competing, but we're still winning tournaments pretty regularly.
So 18 was when you first
went pro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I met Whit when I was like 15 or 16. I met Whitney, and we played on a little, we were, not on the same team at first. And then we were like, everybody thought we were all cool. And so we were like, yeah, we joined this little team called the Iron Kids. We're actually making a documentary about it right now. because it was kind of like that was like the first little step
Yeah, they got
in
you guys
us.
in it.
Yeah, yeah. So
And you were, how involved were you, or what was your involvement with paintball before even that?
so it was like we started playing, like there was this little groups of friends that all started playing together, and it was like uh, played in our backyard. We had like an acre of land, and so at the end of after every day at school, like we would go and play in our backyard with some of the kids from the block, and that was like just the cool little fun thing to do. And my mom went to the paintball store so often to fill up everybody's CO2 tanks because she worked next to there. So in the morning she'd drop them off. At the end of the day, she'd come back and everybody give her $3 for the air fill, and then we'd play for the whole week, And then the paintball store, but people would be like, "Oh no, here she comes again with a giant box of these CO2 tanks." They hated filling up, and so they ended up knowing us, and we're like, "Yeah, so we love a job." And it's the long story short, we just kind of Yosh and I, my buddy, got a job at the paintball store. So we'd get dropped off by a friend, and right after school, my mom would pick us up on the way home from work, and
Easy
we'd
peasy.
work in the attic, $5 an hour at store credit, like saved up for like I bought my first like it was a barrel, like an accessory for my gun. It was like it worked for like 20 hours, 20 hours to buy this hundred and something dollar barrel, 25 hours, which is like almost a month's work. And bought a barrel with store credit, and I was like, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How that story started. And then tell me about how the San Diego Dynasty, like that's like legendary, the most legendary team, I would say, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did
So
that come? Like,
right. Yeah. Like you mentioned, our team has won more events than any team in the history of the sport. That kind of happened. We were in the right place at the right time, partially. The what most people, I'm sure a lot of your listeners will kind of think of paintball. They're like, oh, that game that you play in the woods, right? So paintball's much like very similar in a way to like snowboarding and skiing, right? You got this big mountain. Everybody knows somebody who snowboards or skis, or we do, or something like that. And you're like, yeah, I go down there. And then oh yeah, there's a half pipe over there. There's like there's a massive mountain, and there's a small part that's dedicated to the competition side, right? And that's where all the high end products are. That's where Sean White goes, and all these like big name guys are showing off the highest end, best equipment, the everything like on these crazy little trick components. But like the average player is just like, or the average rider, or whatever you want to call them, is like, oh, we'll go out there and pay my $120 and go a couple times a year, and that's about it, right? So paintball is very similar, where there's two unique conceptualized games, right? There's a woods ball game, which is walk-ons, which probably everybody's heard of or played once before, like, oh, I did a bachelor party, or I went to a birthday party or something. And then there's the 1% of us who got bit by this little bug and ended up doing it a little bit more competitively. And then we're just like, that's what kind of drove us. So back when paintball was still kind of on the cusp of turning into like a really professional sport, it was on its way out of the woods into what it is now, which is like, it's called airball, speedball. And what it is on these inflatable fields. It's like on a perfectly level grass or turfed playing field with these inflatable bunkers everywhere, and the position of all of them change, like the layout changes from event to event. But like that's where all the high end stuff is. Everybody's guns are flashy. Our jerseys are blue. We've got pretty colorful guns and or markers, as you call them, signature series like splashes and really cool looking stuff that we have, and really high end equipment. Like a signature series Ryan Greenspan Force is around $1,800
wow.
plus all the accoutrement that goes on at the tank, the loader, your favorite trigger, all these little things that go in there. So it's a pretty expensive and unique sport.
What would you say separates you guys from the other teams and your success, and how long you guys have been able to do it for such a long period of time?
Yeah, man. I mean, back then we were on the forefront. We were like, a lot of the guys were a lot older, and we were kind of the young guys coming in. We were doing drills, we were practicing, we were a lot more athletic. We took it more serious as like a professional sport. And then now it's just our experience, really. There's faster kids, obviously. I was just teaching a seminar out in New Hampshire this last weekend, and this kid's like, "Hey, man, you want to race?" And I'm like, "Well, not really." He's like, "Hey, I'll race you for." We have these little challenge coins things, and I'm like, "Well, I'm not gonna." sell you a coin so I can just like race you for $20. I'll just, I guess, race you. Obviously the kid beat me only by a step though. And he's like, man, you're pretty fast. And I go, thanks. I go, how old are you, by the way? He's like 21. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, so obviously there are kids that are more athletic than us, and a lot of these individual skill sets you can practice. It's kind of like, think of basketball. Like anybody can practice their free throws and their 3 points all the time, but it's knowing what to do under pressure, knowing when and how to take the chance. And that's what we've been so good at and so consistent at, is like taking the correct calculated risks.
Did you ever dream that it would be what it is? Like,
No.
Yeah.
No, I won a car when I was 18, like a tournament that we gave away 5 Ford Mustangs.
Wow.
And like, that was like the tipping point where my mom thought it was okay for me to do, because she hates guns. But other than that, we're just doing it because we were good at it and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the notoriety, now I'm doing it because I'm like, well, what am I going to do otherwise? I've kind of, a lot of the guys who used to be on the team are grew up, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, I run and I'm a part owner and, the most successful sports franchise. And I mean, you could argue ever in the history of sports, really, if you look at our record in comparison to like,
Right.
those other major sports teams, obviously not as monetarily successful.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's pretty cool. We ended up acquiring the paintball gun manufacturing side of things as well. So we manufacture our own high-end equipment there. We've also got a bunch of these cool little endorsement deals here and there, and so there's lots of projects within the industry. And I consider myself at this point a lifer in here.
Yeah. Do you ever realize, like, when you wake up, how good it is to feel to wake up and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go play a game and have a great time? Like,
Well, yeah, and that's it. Like, and you can appreciate it, right? You do pretty cool stuff for a living. I mean, you've got a brand called Smyle, which means that things are going all right.
Right, yeah.
You are interviewing some pretty cool people. I've seen the roster. I've heard about what you got in the pipeline. I mean, that's a really cool, unique opportunity you guys have, and it's the same sort of idea. You got to be grateful for what you're doing, and you
Absolutely.
really got to do your best. I want to say that. Like, I can't say like just go out there and quit your job and just go do what you want to do. Like, you got to kind of have it planned out a little bit,
Right.
but do your best to like do something that makes you happy and try your hardest to do that. And it's definitely achievable. I mean, you can, from present company included, like you can see that is something that you can do. You just got to, you said it earlier, manifest it in a way and just kind of be positive about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And you are right. And I'm very grateful every morning I wake up. And the podcast, I'm extremely excited to have people like you and people that are extremely successful. I know I come across randomly people in paintball, and I was like, Ryan Greenspan? They're like, yeah. So it's cool, man. And then the connection with Whitney, my partner in Smyle. How I remember watching Whitney, and he's always been an athlete, played pro ball, and you just see how some people are special and stick with that. I mean, everyone's special, but
Right.
everyone can be special in something. And I think what's special is consistency, is doing it every day and keep doing it. What advice would you give to anyone watching, whether they're doing paintball and then whether they're not, and living their dreams and being successful? Like,
yeah, man, it's tough. You got to stick with it. You got to really grind. Like podcasting is a great example, right? You've got to stay consistent. You've got to like keep your head up, right? And I think that's incredibly, it's not just the like I'm doing it. It's not just like going through the motions, right? You've got to be passionate about it, right? You've got to really like try hard at it and be creative. Even in our industry, like you've got to be creative. We're just doing this big summer camp, and one of the things that I mentioned is like, hey guys, you can do these individual drills all the time, but if you just get stuck in your own little motion like doing the same thing over and over again,
Right.
you're gonna lack creativity. And I think that's a really big component there. Whether you're starting a business, whether you're playing paintball, whether you're podcasting, you can't just mimic what other people are doing or just stay in your own bubble. You have to like try to expand out there and challenge yourself. And creativity is a great way to do that, right? If you challenge yourself constantly, you're going to be forced to become more creative. And I think that's really important in getting that stuff done. Otherwise, you're going to kind of be stuck in this monotony, and you're like, wow, just kind of banging your head against the wall. Like, is this working? I can't quite tell, but you know, consistency, you're challenging yourself, like all that stuff I think is really important. Stay positive, stay focused.
Do you guys, when you guys are out there competing, do you guys watch film a lot of the other
Yeah.
teams
Oh yeah.
and then yeah, put that all
Yeah, so all of our events are there's a live webcast. Our practices are all filmed, so we have like a lot of the footage. So it's kind of like one of those things. You know, paintball is a really unique sport. It's probably I want to say it's like one of the only sports, if not the only sport, where every player on the field has a direct effect on the outcome of the game. And so what I'm gonna get at here is like let's say we're playing basketball, pick up basketball, and someone who's 5'8", you know, and change maybe if I'm lucky to wearing the right shoes, walks out there and they're like, all right, well, I'm going to pick the tall guys, you know, I'm going to take these other guys. Or if I'm not athletic looking, like it's easily to get looked
right.
over. Right. Whereas on paintball or when we're playing, you can just choose not to pass me the ball, whatever game it is. Right? If there's a ball oriented sport, that's a team sport, you can just choose not to pass someone the ball if you're not confident in them doing anything. Whereas in paintball, we all have our own paintball markers, right? So we all have a direct effect on the outcome of the game. So it's incredibly empowering, right? So we get kids that come out there and they may lack confidence, but you know, that's one of the things that we teach. We teach people confidence, right?
Mm.
Try it out. Like, go do this. If I say, you don't really play paintball, just go do whatever you want. You know, you're gonna be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go do this. And next thing you know, you've shot somebody out,
Right.
and you're like, whoa, right? So it's incredibly empowering. And so what I'm getting at is like, so we there's a lot of variables on the field. So you're 10 guys doing this, and here's our plan A. We don't know what they're going to do. So when we watch footage, you'll get a lot of guys who are like, oh yeah, no, I did that. I did what you're talking about. You're like, that's funny. It looks like you're looking that way, or you ran this other direction. But you know, that's what makes paintball so unique, is that creativity aspect of it. I mentioned earlier is like, you can try a bunch of things and constantly, like, as soon as the point's over, just go out there and do it again. Try it again. Try it again. Try a different variation. So it, like I said, gives you a really unique perspective on that ability to constantly be testing yourself, testing different aspects of your own abilities, and then working closely with teammates to make things work. And I think it's pretty empowering.
Right. What would you say is, have you guys ever had like a nemesis, like a rival that you guys go against all the time?
Yeah. Yeah, we've had over the course of the last 2.5 decades. Yeah, we've had a bunch. You know, currently it's the team from Canada. There's a Canada team and a team from Houston, Impact and Heat. You know, we're friends with all the guys, and there's a team from Florida, Damage. So like those are the top 4 guys right now. Another team from San Antonio, really good group of guys. That's the other thing about paintball is like everybody. It's a pretty tight knit community at the top. So it's like it's never, I hate that guy. Like those guys suck. We're gonna beat their, you know. It's
Yeah, it's like a
you have that.
respectful
Yeah, it's a respectful
competition.
competition, right?
That's
Now,
cool.
I guess I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm also pretty optimistic and a very positive type of guy. So it's like, you know, we've already won all our tournaments. So I'm having a good time out there, winning and winning or losing. You know, you just take that with a grain of salt. Again, you know, I mentioned this preface this earlier. It's like you're having a lousy day or like something didn't happen. You're just like, just shake it off. Man, you got a next weekend, you got the next event. Like there's other opportunities still for you. You just like, it's not going to be the end of the day for you, or end of the road. You know, we're not playing this. It's not a life or death situation. So you've got to understand that like as lousy as a loss could be, it's a stepping stone, a building point, whatever it is. Throw a smile on and shake it off.
What about I just had a conversation with Dean Lister, and he brought up some really good things about his, you know, personal life that's helped him reach his success. What would you say in your personal life, not just your training or you know, like the professional stuff, like what choices have you made in your personal life would you share with someone younger?
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I guess personally, just I mean, I first certainly made a lot of sacrifices, you know, sacrificing like a real life, you know, for the longest time. It was like relationships were really tough. Obviously, I've got an amazing fiance now and a great, wonderful 4-year-old daughter. You know, but those are tough sacrifices, right? We were talking about it a little bit off camera, and it's like leaving every weekend to travel is a tough one, especially now that my daughter's like, hold on, again, you know? but it's definitely, that's definitely a sacrifice. When I was younger, you know, it was a lot easier. You know, I said I was in school. That was really tough to do, but juggle both of those things. Um, but you kind of know, like I think the biggest thing, and this isn't really a direct answer to the question, is like being real, right? Like understanding like what reality is. Don't lie to yourself. That's
Yeah.
an important thing. You can't lie to yourself. Like if it's not working, you can't just keep banging your head against the wall. Like so you got to be realistic with yourself on not the expectations, managing the expectations, but like just understanding what is and is not working. I think that's an incredibly important aspect there.
Yeah. And one thing Dean said was referring to having a good teammate or spouse, right?
Mhm.
Which you found yours,
Yeah.
right? So that's had to have helped a lot rather than having a bunch of
Big time.
non-helpful.
Yeah, big time. You know, you can't thank someone like that as your supporting role enough, right? Like, who wants to be like in a relationship with someone who's like at a hotel every night, you know, and trapped in an airplane all the time? You're like, hey, what about me? You know, but no, we definitely balance the relationship life very well. We're going to Paris next weekend, you know. She's
Yeah, you have
they're stoked.
talk a little bit about how much traveling you do, man. What you mentioned earlier, it's pretty insane.
Yeah, man. So pre-COVID, it was like 250,000 miles a year. I just hit 3 million miles with American Airlines. Like that's 3 million miles total miles flown with them. Uh, so like, yeah, man, it's I travel a lot. Like I've gone every weekend. I'm doing stuff during the weekdays, like flying up to Washington for you know 3 days, and then flying back down here doing something, and immediately out in Utah doing a video shoot. Straight back home for a day, and then out to Boston. I came home Monday. I'm gone again on Friday. Come back again Monday, and we're leaving for Paris for 10 days for the men's. What's actually the Nations Cup.
Oh wow.
So the under 16 USA team, under 19, the women's, the men's, and the men's over 40. So I qualify for both the men's pro team and the over 40. So that'll be fun.
Tell me about the experience you had with the video game you were telling me about off camera.
Yeah, man, that was a really cool experience. So Activision back in the day, so we met with the Activision people. We did a rock tour also with Activision and Intel when they're promoting Call of Duty, and then the relationship there spun into Activision wanting to do a paintball game. So there's been a paintball game somewhat consistently for the last like 15 years or so. It's done really well, and then Activision jumped on board. I want to say it was like the 2005 to 2007 range, somewhere in there. And then, yeah, Activision made this game, and they're like, yeah, we're like, hey, you should call it Dynasty Paintball. Like, let's license the whole, let's do the deal here. This is gonna be great. Like just like Tony Hawk skateboarding, let's do Dynasty. And they're like, you know, we're gonna do the MPPL thing, but we're gonna give you guys a cut, and we're gonna put you on the cover. They use me, like if you play the video game, you're like, it's like, hey, nice shot. You know, that's all my voices. And like, okay, now what you need to do is run here. And like my voices are all in there, which is a cool experience. And so Activision crushed it. You know, I think their metric is like, if you move 250,000 units, you're like, we're probably not going to talk to you. 500,000 units, you're like, okay, cool. We'll more than likely renew. And then if you're up to like 750,000 to 1 million, they're like, how do we get you on the schedule? We're going to make it a second one. So I think we were in like the 500 to 750,000 units.
Wow.
So we did really well. We did extremely well in that video game. They were like pumped. Unfortunately, it was right at the time when like Call of Duty Part 2 or 3 was coming out. And so they're like, yeah, we've got this other thing that's selling 20 million copies, and we're just about to take it online and like all this other stuff. We're like, hey, you guys want to call us back? Hello. You know, I remember seeing like the head guy here at Comic-Con one year, and he's like, dude, like, I'm sorry, man. Like you guys crushed it. It was exactly everything that we could have wished for, or hoped for. Because again, the first person shooter genre, especially back then, it was like you're shooting humans with machine guns, or you're shooting paintballs at people. So like it wasn't like T for teen. It was like a mature audio, or like a I don't know, whatever the ratings. We had a really good advantageous rating as well, because we were shooting at each other, but it was like paint splots. So it was great for under teen audiences. You didn't need to be mature. So parents loved the video game.
Yeah.
They loved it from a first person shooter perspective. So like anybody in Activision watching this, or video game companies, we got a great platform for you guys, you know? So it was like a really cool partnership. It was a great way. It was just happened to be right when this massive Call of Duty was happening. So
yeah, like the biggest
video
ever?
game, yeah, ever. Yeah, and they're like, paintball, 500,000 units. We'll get back to you guys. I think they scrapped pretty much everything at that point. They were just all hands on deck, just getting the next 15 versions of Call of Duty out every year.
It's pretty incredible, though. I mean, to move over 500,700,000.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
man. And so, like I said, I think I shared with you, I was like, man, I know I have a better understanding of how rich Tony Hawk is after seeing what our numbers were and knowing that he's getting a video game every year. And I'm pretty sure he had a much better piece of the pie than we did, and we crushed it.
So what is your routine when you're back in San Diego? You still surfing a lot? Or?
Yeah. Actually, surfing is like my number one thing. Keeps me sane. You know, there's something to say about the salt water.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just getting the lactic acid out, getting in the cold, crisp water in the ocean. I think that keeps you really young, helps me with recovery. You know, back before I had my daughter, I would do a lot of, hill sprints and do like as much working out as I can. Now I'm just trying not to blow my back out, carrying her around up and down stairs and running around to the zoo and stuff like that. So, Tuesday through Thursday, I'm like fully daddy daycare duty. I fly home on Monday, do laundry, pack my bag on Thursday night, get back on the airplane on Friday. So, I said I've still got sand in my ankles from just bought her a longboard and teaching her how to surf. She's 4, so I mean,
how's your diet and how serious do you take that when you're?
Yeah, man, diets. I haven't drank a soda in 10 years. You know, like my diet is really on point. I think it's tough when you're on the road, but like, we have great people who support us around the world when we're booked in something. So it's like this is the one thing that like I'm really anal about is spring water only. So I won't ever drink purified. Well, I will if I need to, but purified drinking water is like poison. So you see the Crystal Geyser. We got the Pellegrino right here. You can't put a price or on like natural minerals from the earth. So that's something I really pride myself on is I drink clean water. I've been eating organic pretty regularly, like as often as I can. Obviously, if we're at the airport and I'm at the lounge, it's like, what kind of slop do they got here? Yeah, give me that French toast, man. Yeah. But for the most part, it's like as organic as I possibly can, whatever that means these days. I think they can slap that logo on anything. So I mean, if that's like the new norm, it's like there's going to be a new super ultra organic, and I don't even know what the other stuff is.
Where do you see Ryan Greenspan in the next 4 or 5 years?
I want to say I'm hoping I'm still playing. I always say this thing when we bring new guys on the team. It's like, hey, come take my job, please. I want to be there. Like let's go, rooting everybody on from the sidelines. I've got a couple of projects that I'm working on inside and outside of paintball. Really hoping, I'm supporting my best friend and my 2 best friends and my business partners, brands here. This is like this Hormesis brand that's pretty cool. That just blew up, and they're expanding. We're designing like a lot of cool products for it. We've got Field One, which is a paintball brand that it's a pretty cool experience, like doing a lot of R&D and projects there. So I'll definitely still be in the paintball industry. That's for sure.
That's a paintball based
this
brand?
is a paintball brand. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It started Oliver Lang and Alex Fragi started it. Oliver's living in Bali. He was making a bunch of organic headbands and these crazy, like organic cotton and denim and dyes and all sorts of stuff. They make some pretty cool, funky designs and colorful stuff. And the paintball industry just absolutely loves it. So he and Alex are designing a lot of stuff, and I'm kind of working alongside with them.
We'll have to do a Smyle collab.
Yeah, a little collab for sure. Absolutely. Next time Alex is down here, Oliver's in town for a weekend. He's floating around throughout the world.
Do a lot of the players, they consume edibles or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the cannabis is strong in the paintball industry. I don't because I just kind of, I don't know. I actually don't know why. I don't know. I guess.
Well, I'm going to send you with a gift package.
Just give it a shot. I'll leave with one of these things and really psych myself out if I have a moment. You know what I mean? I like to be able to wake up sometimes and like text. Sometimes I know that you can kind of be like, oh, where's my bed? No, I know you guys are doing a great thing. I was talking to you about the ingredients you use. I think that's important.
Yeah, we definitely. It is important. We want to do the most natural, non-GMO, the
mhm.
best flavoring stuff. Ours is vegan. It's nanotechnology is what Whitney was talking about earlier. How we lowered the molecule so it enters faster and releases
Mhm,
quicker, so
mhm.
it's not so overwhelming, you know. And that's a lot of people have had bad experiences because
Sure.
it's almost like if you think about it, if someone consumes cannabis and they have a bad experience, I'm like, well, do you know what you took or how? They're like, no. Well, so that's almost it's almost like walking into
I
a
had a
pharmacy.
cookie, or I think I had 3, you
And
know? Like, I hear
but
the
it's literally
stories
like
all the
walking
time.
into a pharmacy and grabbing something off the shelf, not knowing what you're taking, whether
Mhm,
it's an
mhm.
Adderall or a Xanax or a Vicodin or a
Yeah,
Viagra, and then how much are you taking?
yeah,
You have no idea. So now we've gotten to a point to where we have strain specific stuff. So you know this is actually going to make you sleepy. This is going to give you motivation and energy. And this, and then how many milligrams do you want to
mhm,
take? And
mhm.
ours are nanotechnology, so it's smoother and so you have more intent, you have more knowledge, you know, rather than just taking something randomly.
Sure.
So I, you know, just since we started this company, I mean, we started it 4 years ago and didn't release until 6 months ago, but we did so much, you know, research and development and really had to master kind of what we were doing exactly so we knew the intent. And before that, I was kind of intimidated too because I've
Mhm.
had bad experiences.
Right.
But then, you know, now that there's milligrams and you know how much to take, it's so much more safer, at
Sure.
least. So,
Yeah, you're definitely curating the experience to be a lot less invasive to a lot of people, and I think that there's a nice little nugget in there that I think a lot of people should really take in is like you started the company 4 years ago. You just released the product about
yeah,
6 months ago. It came to market. Like, you know, looking at your packaging is awesome. You know, you see too many people that are like, okay, I've got to get like, what am I? Why I've been working on this for like 2 months. Like, just print a label out and stick it on there, and like it'll be fine, right? And I think that that's really important. Like, you just can't rush stuff if you want it to be good.
right.
If you rush it, you're gonna do it more than once. It's like buying furniture. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, yeah. You were surprised that the IKEA bed that you bought for $50, and you spent like 10 minutes putting it together, and you have screws left over. You're surprised that you need to
right.
buy another one in a couple months. Like, of course, man.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Now, great job to Whitney for, you know, dialing in the packaging and making sure we had the right things before it was horrible and we had to
mhm,
redo it, you
mhm.
know,
Yeah.
because that would have been, you know, and then getting the taste, getting everything dialed in, and you know, we did win the Farmers Cup. We won best
Let's
overall
go.
edible, first place. We won best first place, best flavor in California, which we're very proud of.
Can you walk me through that experience of like how like, so this is just like a couple, like a guy who's just like every day just trying a new
No,
edible. Like, how
so
does that, like, you're testing it, right? So it's like, what's the come, like, who is this guy? Is he just
for,
like a
so
wine sommelier, but he's
for
just
the
cranking these things down?
the Farmers Cup.
Yeah.
So they have it's really the People's Choice Awards. So they have
Okay. Okay.
400 judges.
Got it. Got it.
So I believe, you know, the certain groups, I don't know if they find them or they find who finds who, but they get all the edibles. There's like
Sure.
I want to say there was 1,700 brands that entered this thing, um, and they have 420
Of
until
course.
520 to try them all out.
Mhm.
So the awards ceremony is over a month later.
Okay, that makes more
Yeah,
sense. Yeah, it's not like, all right, so here you go, try all these things out, and someone's like, oh, here we go again, man.
wake them up, wake them up. We're
Yeah,
not done yet.
see you in a week, man.
Yeah, so there's actually 400 judges that had a month to try everything, and these are the
Okay,
biggest brands in the world that we went up against.
epic.
So yeah,
Congrats.
it was you know it's one thing when you think yourself like, okay, we have good stuff, you know, we have
Yeah.
good stuff, but then you don't know until you win
Hmm.
a People's Choice Awards and I'm happy it was that way and not just a panel of 5 guys
Right.
because that could be skewed,
Oh, it
you
is
know.
all the
So
time.
and the guy from Farmers came up to my partner Whitney. He said, you know, because they leave a comment in case there's a tiebreaker. Said in however many years he's been doing it, there hasn't been a brand that got as many comments as we did. So yeah, we feel really good about it, and you know that's why we want to expand to not only giving people the best product we can, but having a platform to encourage and inspire people. Because we say that we're a lifestyle brand, we're a mentality, and that's you're good friend. You're a part of the family that started all this. You know,
Hmm.
Brendan and
Yeah.
Whitney, and that's how they all are. They're just great people that are living their dreams and doing what makes them smile. So thank you again for being a part of this.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. My pleasure, man. I'm happy to be. I'll have to leave with some of these things and psych myself up and find a time that I can. I'm sure it won't really
Just
affect
start
me
with a
too
half.
much. Yeah,
Start
half.
with a half.
Yeah. I know. Zero tolerance right here. I've got zero tolerance. I remember someone's like, "Oh no, they're not strong at all." It's my buddy, and he's like, "Dude, I not these ones. Some other brand, some other company was like, yeah, just eat what you know." He's like, "Dude, I tried to watch a movie and I don't even know what happened. I woke up then like sideways on my bed." And he's like, "No, these things aren't very strong at all." He's like, "Well, I don't eat these things ever." He's like, "Oh no, you got to have a tolerance." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I wasn't
now
going to
you
eat those
tell me
things." Yeah,
that.
yeah. Now you tell me that. But no, I'll have to try them out. I'll go to Whirl one of these days.
Absolutely, man. All right, Kyle. Is there before I let you go, man? Is there anything else you want to share with anybody? Anything you got going on? Anything you'd actually announce or?
No, man. I just you can check out just play paintball. I think is the thing, right? I think that a lot of people will find, like I said, it's a very unique sport. um, it's just a lot of fun. You know, it's empowering. It's a great way to get a good exercise, do something different, blow off some steam. You know, we're constantly trying to evolve it and make it. It's like it's just a cool experience, man. It's just such a fun time.
One question that I like to throw in is what about what you do, your passion, paintball, your platform? What about that makes you smile?
You know, just doing what I love. You know, it's like you can't beat it. Just I play a game for a living. Essentially, I get to compete. I get to hang out with my best friends on the road all the time. Like I said, I'm going to Paris next week with bringing my family. My two best friends, one of whom Yosh I went to preschool with. You know,
That's
and we've
awesome.
been on the same team for the last 20 years. And
That's
Alex, we started the team together. We're going in now to play our 25th season. We're playing our 25th season. We're still winning tournaments. We've won 2 out of the 3 tournaments this year. We're going over to Paris to play again for Team USA. And we're also playing in the Veterans Over 40 League. So it's like, if that doesn't make you like put a smile on your face, you know, it's like, this is how crazy is this? This is such a great time.
That's rad.
You know, so it's like, I can't be thankful enough for my friends, my family, my fans, everybody who supports us. It's like, it's such a cool thing. And seeing guys that like come out to the field, you know, last weekend, some guys like, dude, I stopped playing 10 years ago. I just got back into it.
It'd be one thing if you're like, I'm still losing.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. You know, like, oh, we're having whatever. We're just drinking beers and having fun. No, we're like competing at the highest level of our sport still, against kids that are half our age a lot of the times. And now we're you know, playing in both the men's professional, the highest USA team, and then also over 40 team
That's so
in
awesome.
Paris with our, you know, my daughter's going to be there watching, you know, or some of our wives are going to be there. And
I'm sure the over 40 guys aren't excited that you're going to be joining.
I know.
That's their asses.
I hope so. I mean, dude, I'm still nervous. Like we go out there, I'm like, dude, we cannot lose this. Like, come on, guys. So I know we're gonna have a blast. It's gonna be cool. It's a really cool experience.
Thank you very much, man. It's an honor to have you on. And,
absolutely.
Look forward to seeing you.
Stoked to be here, man.
More championships, man. So
yeah. Have me on again. I'm around. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thanks.